So now let's talk more about the extruded boss base feature, and for this I'll use this single part drawing. Alright, now once again I'll start with sketch. So I'll go to sketch and I'll select this is sketch tool. Now we need to select a plane, so I'll expand this tree and I'll select this top plane right here. Okay, so we can see the top plane, but if you make this sketch, it will be made exactly on the plane which we selected. So let's go to the circle and maybe using this as origin, let's make it like this and exit the sketch. All right, here we have the circle. Now we'll extrude this. So I'll go to feature, extruded boss base, and I'll select the circle. Now so far very easy, very simple, but now let's go to these two main options that we'll be discussing, the from option and the direction option. Inside direction we have several options here. In the from also we have several of these. So we'll talk about these one by one. Let's start with from. Now currently in the from option, sketch plane is selected. So all the selection will start from the sketch and the dimension will be measured from that sketch. However, if I change that to, let's say, offset, then there will be a new option here called offset, and now you can add an offset distance. For example, here I can type 5 and tab key, and now there will be an offset of 5 unit between the original sketch and the point from where this actually starts extruding. So currently the offset distance is added on the top of this sketch surface, but if you want to reverse it, just click here, and now the offset is 5 units just underneath this. So still it will extrude it in this direction, but the offset will start below this sketch plane. So if I, let's say, add a height of 30 units, it will be 5 units underneath this, so it will start from here. That's the offset. Now the next option is vertex, and if you select vertex, SolidWorks will let you select a vertex and the extrusion will start from there. So now I'll maybe select this vertex, and there it is. The extrusion will start exactly from this vertex right along the plane of the vertex. So what other options we have? Well, surface. So in this case you can select a surface and it may or may not be kind of very smooth. So for example, in this case we can even select this kind of surface. So here I'll select this and the extrusion will start from here. It will just use this sketch as a reference. So we can now add a height. Any height is just fine. So I accidentally moved this completely and changed the face. So I'll just select the face and I'll select it one more time. Now using this arrow, I'll add height. So that's how you can change these options to change the place from where the extruded sketch will start. Now the next feature, which is direction, will decide the end point of this extrusion feature. So in this case we are extruding it blindly using the dimension, so that's why we have this blind option selected here. Now if you don't want that, if you want some other option, for example, let's say we want to extrude it all the way up to the last object, then select through all, and there it is. It will extrude it all the way up to the last object. Now in this case it is still using this surface as a reference, so it is just using this surface, starting it from here and extruding it all the way up to this, and that's why it has this kind of wavy surface, because it's following that. Now if you don't want it, then you can also go to this through all and select up to surface, and then select a final surface, and it will just extrude it up to that surface. There won't be any kind of waviness right above that, so it will just end the extrusion right here. Now in this case I'll go to this from option and I'll simplify it. I'll select sketch plane so that the extrusion starts exactly at this sketch plane, and now still we have up to surface selected, so maybe I'll just keep this one selected, and in the phase 3, which is this one, I'll select this. And now the extrusion will start here and go up to the surface. So it will just decide the end point of your extruded face or the extruded object. So what other options we have? Well, we have seen the through all. Now up to next. Let's select this, and now this happened. Since we are extruding in the downward direction, now it will just start extruding from the sketch and extrude it only up to the next available surface, which is this one. If however you reverse the direction, which I'll do here, it will extrude it up to the next available surface. It did ignore these surfaces because it's not completely intersecting this object which is outside that surface. So the next immediate surface for this will be this one. So it will extrude it up to that. Now we have already seen up to vertex, so still, if you want to, here it is, up to vertex, and then select a vertex and it will just extrude up to that. So here I'll click on this vertex and it will extrude only up to that vertex, even when it is slightly beyond that plane. So it's just outside that plane, still it will just extrude it up to this vertex. Alright, up to surface, you know about that. You just need to select a surface, either this, any kind of surface is fine. Even you can select this surface if you want to. So if you select this surface, it will just extrude it with respect to this, exactly like this. It will take that angle. Now, if you select offset from surface, then you can specify a final surface and the offset distance. It is huge right now. So I'll change the face. So the first thing that I'm going to change is maybe this. So now it is extruding only up to this surface, but the gap is really huge. That's offset gap. I'll decrease it to maybe, let's say 5. And there it is. So now this will extrude up to the surface, but it will keep an offset of 5 unit, which we have specified here because now I've selected offset from surface. Now you can also reverse the offset simply by using this reverse offset option, and now it will go beyond that plane up to 5 units. So beyond that plane, 5 unit up, that's this. This is the point where it will reach. So I'll just uncheck this. And then we have up to body. Now in this case, if you have several bodies in your drawing, you can select a body, it will extrude it up to that. In this case, we just have one, that's this entire body, so it is not relevant for our current example. So I'll leave that. And then finally we have mid plane. Now selecting mid plane will ensure that direction 2 simply disappears and only direction 1 will decide the direction 2 as well. So you just need to specify one direction and the features here, and the same feature will be applied for the second direction too. For example, direction 1 has, well, 55 unit. So here I'll just maybe change it to approximately 40, and as you can see, it's moving 40 up and 40 down. Not only that, if I add a draft angle, it will be equally applied above and below that sketch plane. So that's the mid plane. Once you select that, it will use that mid plane as a reference and it will extrude it above and below the mid plane equally. Now we have an option which is called direction here, which we did not use so far. So first, let's make this very simple extrusion. So I'll just go to this drop down, I'll select blind, and draft feature, I'll deactivate that as well, so that we have this. Now I'll use this direction feature, and using this you can specify a direction of extrusion. So by default, SolidWorks will extrude your sketch in the perpendicular direction. So it will just start extruding in this way. But if you want to specify a direction, check this box and click on any direction line, for example, this edge. And now it will use that edge as a reference and extrude it in that direction. You can still increase or decrease the size of your extrusion here. So with that, I'll now go to this blind option. I'll just clear this direction and maybe I'll just move it all the way up to this, and here I'll make sure merge result is checked and I'll click OK, so that we have this final body which will merge with this one. And that's how you can create extruded bodies.